been quite active on social media since Charlie Kirk's death. When Erica Kirk posted Charlie's coffin, you responded, she tagged him, brackets, crying face emojis. In response to Alina Haber's tweet ordering people to fly their flags at half-mast in memory of Charlie, you posted on X, buying flags and poles just to fly them fully erect. And you then posted yesterday, ending every Conservative debate call out I'd do in 2026 with "Don't dodge, bro." That's not what Charlie would have wanted. I mean, do you think that your response to the cold-blooded murder of Charlie Kirk has been appropriate?
Yes. I think that the only way this country moves forward into a better world is when conservatives can finally realize that they need to turn the temperature down on their side. We are 10 years into whatever this Trump madness is, and there is not a single mainstream conservative that will call for a lowering of the temperature on their side. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term.
If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Trump shouldn't have been elected. So all of their belly aching about saving our democracy meant nothing to them. I'm telling you. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, this guy is named Destiny. I'm very unfamiliar with him, but I think the first time I heard about him, there's something about him and his wife, like maybe a year or two ago. And I don't even know what the thing, there was a big hubbubaloo about, I don't know. Okay. I don't know anything about this other than he's got a huge following and he's a leftist on YouTube. And you see why. He really, I don't know that he believes it or not, because it's very difficult to actually pin down a leftist as to what they actually believe. Or are they just saying it to get clicks? I don't know. But when he says a Republican has to turn down the temperature, like, what are you talking about? I don't recall ever hearing a Republican calling a Democrat a fascist or a Hitler or a Nazi.
Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. All of the recent political violence that's happened in this country over the past 20 years, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, everybody gets mad because they keep asking Grok about it, has been conservative.
So it's his position that when people go out and riot, it's really Donald Trump's fault. When BLM were burning down buildings, really it was Donald Trump's fault for running for office. He would say yes. You have no business voting for him. You see, from their perspective, you don't get the candidate you want. See, you don't get the policies you want. You want the border closed, we want it open. And since we want it open, that's how we do it. We get what we want. You don't get what you want. And so if the majority, by the way, fair and square, Donald Trump won the Electoral College and the popular vote. And guess what? That's still not enough for them. They're still yelling, resist. I mean, it's insanity. And so here's the problem, bottom line. You're not going to please these people. If you think, well, maybe we should sit down, there is no unifying with this. They just want power. And they don't want you to have any of it. If your candidate is something they don't like Donald Trump, well, then, yeah, you deserve it. If you wanted him to be alive, you shouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. I mean, how do you unify with this?
Charlie Kirk.
A guy from Utah who was raised in a Christian family, who was a 22-year-old
guy
white
described,
dude. He wasn't
Destiny.
Trans. He didn't have a trans girlfriend. He didn't have any trans influences. He didn't have any trans bullets. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys were wrong on all of that.
To be clear, the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this. That's just
I'm sorry, excuse me, when?
yesterday he said that. The
No.
governor
When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college?
I don't know when he was radicalized, but I do know.
What you just said
I do
is not
know
true.
the very
No,
reasonable
that's not true.
sounding governor of Utah
No.
has made
No,
it
it's not
clear
true.
that the
No, he hasn't made it
you may
clear.
not want
He
to
said
hear
this is an
this.
ongoing investigation.
You may not want to
you don't
hear
wanna
it, Destiny. But the reality is, the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology.
He doesn't want to accept that, and he won't accept it, and for good reason. It's kind of funny, you know, all of these leftists who are, you know, dancing around and celebrating, they don't want to own it as one of theirs. Here, by the way, this is from Axios, not a right-wing organization. Kirk investigators aghast transgender roommate may lead to motive. Authorities are investigating whether Tyler Robinson, suspected of killing Charlie Kirk, believed Kirk's views on gender identity were hateful to people like Robinson's transgender roommate. Six sources familiar with the case tell Axios. 6 sources. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not even 5. 6 different sources are telling them this. So this is not Fox News. Why it matters. Investigators believe Robinson's anger at Kirk's views could be a key to establishing a motive for the slaying of the controversial activist whose death sent shockwaves through American politics. Each of the 6 sources familiar with the investigation told Axios that investigators believe Robinson had a romantic relationship with his roommate. But that kid, that Destiny guy, no. It is so clear, but they don't want to own it that it's one of theirs. That's what's bugging them. That, yeah, okay, it is one of yours. He was radicalized because, that's what I'm talking about. There's no unifying with this. How do you find common ground with people who say you don't get to get your preferred candidate? They get to get theirs. They get to get whatever candidate they want. But if you have a difference of opinion and you want that candidate, no, you can't have that. Only we get our candidate. You don't get your candidate. How do you unify with that?
That drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me just ask you.
That's just not true.
Let me just ask you.
There's no way to deal with it.
Okay,
You're living in a
accusing the
delusional
governor of
fantasy.
lying.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative. But
Sure.
if it turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up Charlie Kirk, would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So you won't condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk until Donald Trump says something.
I'm a YouTuber. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade.
Meanwhile, let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said,
No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core.
Wonder where Charlie Kirk's shooter got radicalized. Well, it can't have been them, right? According to that guy, they've been trying to turn down the temperature for decades. They have. Calling Donald Trump Hitler, calling him a Nazi, calling him a fascist. How in the world are you going to be a capitalist and a fascist? How? Explain that to me. Explain to me how any fascist is actually a capitalist. None of that matters. Okay? To the left, the only thing that matters is power. Period. Power. Okay? If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, you shouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. In other words, when you get your candidate, we're going to go berserk and we're going to just start pew, pew, pew. And so it's really your fault. How dare you vote for the candidate you wanted? Now, when we vote for Kamala or we vote for Biden or we vote for Bill Clinton or we vote for Hillary, those are all justifiable. You see, we all do that because it's the right thing to do. We voted for Obama. See, we're on the right side. You're not. And since you don't do what we tell you to do, we're just going to riot and burn everything down. You see how this works? And so you wonder, why in the world would this kid get radicalized? You just saw it. And he's telling you, no. If they won't turn down the temperature, what are you talking about? What? By the way, and notice what he said. No, the president has to say it. He has to say it. Say what? You know how many times he condemned racism, condemned bigotry, just outright? It was never enough. I mean, ever. It was never enough. The same goes for Charlie Kirk. Because they need to be angry. They want to be angry. Because when the light of truth actually starts to permeate, then they find out, oh, we were wrong. And they don't want to be wrong. No, if they're wrong, well, then that means that would mean that I'm the problem. That's why they can't do that. That's the reason there's no inward looking. Like, wow, hey, I wonder if our party is wrong. I wonder if allowing boys to play in girls' sports had a detrimental effect on our campaign. Wow, I wonder if putting tampons in boys' bathrooms had a detrimental effect on our campaign. Wow, I wonder if allowing the border to be wide open and just bringing in millions and millions and millions and millions, I wonder if that had anything to do with us losing. No, there's no reckoning. Democrats have yet to look at themselves and go, I wonder where we got it wrong. There is no, they don't even ask that. Instead, they say, well, this is going to continue. We're going to burn stuff down just like we did in 2020, the summer of 2020. Remember the summer of love? We're going to do the exact same thing because Donald Trump's in office. And when J.D. Vance becomes president, we're going to continue to do the same thing. We told you guys not to vote for him. How dare you do what you want to do? Well, then we're going to go out there and, burn everything down. I got to tell you, man, there's no unifying with that. How do you unify with that? All right, guys, that's it for now. If you like the video, smash the like button and subscribe. And if you're following me on Rumble, please press that follow button. And until the next time, God bless.